Hello everyone, I am Baltmatrix, and behold, Galvatron! Kingdom Galvatron comes from Grimlockamus over in Wisconsin. You might know him as the wonderful customizer extraordinaire, who he was kind enough to pick this up at a local Target, and he's also picked up a Rhinox for me, and that is currently being shipped my way. This is quite possibly the best looking Galvatron we have ever gotten. Yeah, it's more G1, but I'm okay with that in this respect because this is just a dang good Galvatron. Purple Megatron comes with a couple of accessories, the first of which is his giant cannon that has, well, it's just a big cannon, and it splits into two different components, the back part and the barrel. The barrel pegs into the front of the cannon mode, or artillery mode, and then the back part just gets plopped on the top. It's really cool. It's just really nice, and it's actually made from 4 different pieces. There are 4 separate pieces in this thing. It can be wielded on either one of the siege ports that's on the upper arm or on the forearm. The cannon may be hand-carried in robot mode, but it doesn't look real good, because quite frankly, the peg is too short and the forearms are too thick. But what can be hand-carried in robot mode are these cute little ship gun things that are molded after the ship that shows up in the movie. And he's got 2 of them, and then they combine. And it looks so stupid, I love it. It really looks like something out of Star Wars. It's so dumb. Unfortunately, he can't put both arms together and wield the ship guns like I wish he could. I'm sure there's some way I could figure it out, maybe, but it would just look stupid, and this is fine. The ships may be mounted on these little pegs on the back to be used later, and it works. It just works. I like it. And also, you can have them turned upside down if you don't like having ship pylons sticking off your Galvatron. You could just flip them around and peg them in, though getting them pegged in either way isn't the easiest thing in the world, I have found. You really got to use a lot of force there in order to get those suckers pegged in. And the last accessory that the figure comes with is a little bit of bling. He comes with a little matrix on a chain. I love it! All told, in robot mode, this Galvatron is just beautiful. I love it. That's not to say he doesn't have flaws, though. Now, a flaw in my book is all the stupid schmutz, all this blue dirt and grime. I really don't like it. I'll be doing a separate video on how to get rid of it. It's very easy, oddly enough. Thanks to @Cheetamus over at Twitter for pointing me in the direction. That video will be coming up in another day or so. Okay, the other flaw has to do with the posability of the feet. Now, the feet have these little pylons sticking off for use in the cannon mode, and the legs, or the rear legs, are pegged together thanks to these purple pieces on the back of the lower legs. That limits the posability of the feet to just that far. If you untransform the figure a little bit, you can then get more posability, but then you're practically ripping the leg in half. So you don't get as posable of a figure, but what you can do is, if you really want to pose it, you can untransform it a little bit, pull the pylon out that's in the lower leg, and just stick it off to the side, and then you've got posability for days. In fact, you've actually got a little bit of extra stability added in thanks to the little pylon there. Far and away, though, the biggest flaw in the figure has to do with the shoulders. Now, you may have already noticed my figure is a first-run figure, so the shoulders were misassembled, which sucks. They are supposed to be assembled so that the shoulders sit higher on the figure, like this. That is the way they're supposed to be assembled. Obviously, that didn't happen. Now, there are a couple of tutorials out there for putting a screwdriver into the shoulder bits, wiggling them, and popping this rivet out. I'm just not going to do that. If I get a hold of a second figure that I will probably ask my good buddy Grimlockamus to customize into a more Generation 1, Japanese Generation 1 accurate color scheme, I will probably have him pop the shoulders off, but just turning them around like that is perfectly fine and valid. Yes, you have the rivet holes. Yes, I'm okay with that. Head is on a ball joint, though it is a little bit limited thanks to that gigantic chin of his. And before moving on with the posability, that head sculpt is mwah, chef's kiss good. Arms are on a series of swivels, and then hinges, and then swivels at the upper arm, double bend at the elbow for the transformation, and then the wrists are on swivels. The treads on the back of the arms can be posed and moved and swung out of the way, so, I mean, this is all for the transformation, but it is nice that they can be moved and kind of swiveled out of the way for different poses. I do appreciate that. There is a torso swivel, but it is limited because, well, the backpack chunk just hits the side skirts and then can't do much more. Side skirts are posable. They are part of the transformation, however. Legs can kick forward at 90 degrees, can kick back almost 90 degrees, can kick out all the way, and then there is a thigh swivel, a bend at the knee, and then an ankle joint, which we have already talked about. And then the heels have a little bit of movement to them for stability in different poses. Something to keep in mind when posing and playing with the figure is that the shoulders have a tendency to come unpegged. It's not super tight, but it's not super loose either, so just be wary of that. It's not really a flaw, it's just the fact that, well, they're friction pegs, so they're not going to be that tight. When compared to Studio Series Scourge and Cyclonus, I'm just smitten. He is a little bit bigger than Cyclonus, which I always thought Galvatron was about the same size as Cyclonus, but this works fine. And he towers over Scourge, which I kind of always figured that was the case. These evil lads look so good together. It's just a shame that you've got all this char smutch on him. Again, I'll be getting rid of that myself. Now this is the absolute hardest part of the transformation. There are little tabs on the inside of these flaps that form the shoulders, and they peg into these tiny little slots that are just at the bottom of the chest. Getting the peg and the slot lined up is incredibly difficult, and already my figure is marring, or the plastic I should say, is marring pretty badly in there. What I end up having to do is line everything up, get them lined up, and then push them in, and it really makes a very unsatisfying and, quite frankly, really disturbing crunching, cracking noise that I really don't like. And here we have Galvatron in his alt mode, the artillery cannon. This works really well. Now I realize that isn't really as cartoon accurate as the original or for the Generation 1 figure, but considering everything they've got to do in order to get that super G1 accurate robot mode into a cannon mode, the designers and developers of this figure really did a dang good job. I'm very happy with what we have here. And this transformation is, once you do it once, maybe twice, it's super intuitive. The directions are also really, really good, which I am flabbergasted at. They are just big and super readable. They're nice. And heck, this figure is nice, and everything about it is nice, except for the schmutz. Now this little hole right here at the bottom of the cannon mode is for the Matrix. The chain Matrix has this little peg that goes right there and sits right there. I like that. I really do. You can do the same thing in robot mode. It just doesn't work as well. It it looks real stupid if you do that. You can also peg the ships in this mode. Once you do get them pegged on, though, it looks like extreme overkill for his cannon mode, because, well, Galvatron has blown up multiple planets using his cannon. At least he blew up Char, I think. Now, I will be the first to let you know that this doesn't line up one for one, the pegs on the outside of Scorponok's arms, but you can peg the back of Galvatron into one of those pegs and give Scorponok a death cannon. Cool! You know what works even better for Galvatron and Scorponok? Being held by Scorponok as a gun. Simply flip up the rear supports, give him a handle, move the arms around a little bit for the treads, and voila! Scorponok's got a new gun. I adore this figure, flaws and all. And I realize that this might not be the cup of tea for everybody, but for me, it's scratching that itch that I didn't know I had. I didn't realize I had always wanted a near-perfect Galvatron figure. And here we have one. And I love it. So folks, let me know what you think of Galvatron down in the comments. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. A big thank you to all my patrons, because they're helping me get figures and keeping the lights on. As always, I have been Baltmatrix, and I'll catch you all next time.